What happens when the United States brings one of the most powerful non-nuclear weapons ever built into the fight against drug cartels? For decades, cartels have survived raids, blockades, and drone surveillance. But now, the battlefield has shifted. The weapon at the center of this new phase is the vacuum bomb, a thermobaric device capable of leveling entire drug laboratories, destroying fortified safe houses, and suffocating anyone caught inside. This is not just another airstrike or commando raid, it is a demonstration of overwhelming force designed to dismantle an industry worth billions and leave nothing behind but ruins. America's war on Mexican cartels has entered a new and far more aggressive phase. Behind covert missions, targeted raids, and intelligence gathering lies the introduction of a weapon that most people outside military circles barely understand. When detonated, it doesn't just blast through walls. It consumes oxygen itself, creating a lethal wave of fire and pressure. Hidden jungle labs, bunkers, and mountain facilities, places cartels once considered safe, are no longer beyond reach. For years, elite U.S. units have operated quietly along the southern border and inside Mexico. These missions rarely made headlines. American Special Operations Forces worked side by side with select Mexican military units, carefully tracking cartel leaders, intercepting shipments, and raiding safe houses. These were surgical strikes, often unacknowledged, sometimes conducted without even informing local authorities. Several cartel figures simply vanished, killed or captured in these classified operations. The U.S. never publicly confirmed its role. Mexico often took public credit. Meanwhile, cartels retaliated by placing million-dollar bounties on suspected American operatives. Several U.S. agents lost their lives, though their missions were never acknowledged officially. That quiet shadow war has shifted. Under the current administration, cartels have been formally designated as foreign terrorist organizations. That classification grants U.S. forces expanded counterterrorism authority. The Navy, the CIA, and Joint Task Forces now have far greater latitude to target cartel assets the same way they once targeted Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The CIA has increased surveillance, deploying advanced drones to monitor cartel activity in real time. Intelligence collected is being fused with military planning for potential large-scale strikes. 6 current and former officials across the military, law enforcement, and intelligence communities have confirmed that drone strikes on cartel leaders, vehicles, drug labs, and storage facilities are actively under discussion. The White House, Pentagon, and senior intelligence leaders are coordinating directly with the Mexican government, which is reportedly aware of, and in some cases supportive of, these operations. This idea is not new. In 2020, former Defense Secretary Mark Esper revealed that President Trump had once inquired about launching missile strikes on Mexican drug labs. While Trump and his team denied pursuing the idea, the concept clearly never disappeared. Today, it has reemerged, only this time far more concrete. Cartels have tried to adapt. They've shot down surveillance drones, built tunnels, and hidden their operations deep underground. But drones are no longer the main concern. Reports indicate that the U.S. is prepared to use B-2 stealth bombers carrying thermobaric bombs, vacuum bombs, to destroy cartel hideouts and labs outright. Vacuum bombs, also called thermobaric or fuel-air explosives, are among the most destructive weapons short of nuclear arms. Their design differs from conventional explosives. Instead of carrying both fuel and oxidizer, a vacuum bomb disperses a cloud of fuel into the air. A secondary charge then ignites it. The explosion pulls in oxygen from the environment itself, creating a fireball and an immense pressure wave. The result is devastating. Extreme heat, massive concussive force, and suffocation for anyone in enclosed spaces. These weapons come in multiple forms, from hand grenades to massive bombs capable of producing blasts equivalent to dozens of tons of TNT. Russia once tested the father of all bombs, with a yield of 44 tons. The United States has developed its own arsenal across decades of research, testing, and limited deployment. The origins trace back to World War I, when German forces developed incendiary shells that spread burning tar and powder. In World War II, Austrian physicist Mario Zipper worked on refining the concept further, but it was during the Vietnam War that thermobaric weapons were first operationally tested by the United States. The first thermobaric weapon, the CBU-55, was introduced in 1971. Testing took place in Southeast Asia, where U.S. forces experimented with delivery by slower attack aircraft like the A-37 Dragonfly and the A-1 Sky Raider. Test sorties were flown from Bien Hoa and Nakhon Phanom air bases, with aircraft carrying canisters filled with propane fuel. Results were mixed. The delivery system was vulnerable to wind drift, limiting accuracy. The weapon's shape caused drag, reducing the ability to carry other ordnance. Safety concerns for pilots were significant. Despite these issues, the U.S. Navy's Light Attack Squadron 4 and Air Force units conducted trials into 1972. Pathology teams even studied enemy casualties to measure effectiveness. The weapon was never widely fielded in Vietnam, though a stockpile was kept. In 1975, with South Vietnam collapsing, U.S. commanders authorized one operational use. A CBU-55 was dropped by a C-130 at 20,000 feet. The resulting explosion incinerated and suffocated an estimated 250 enemy soldiers in a 4-acre area. Oxygen was consumed instantly. This remains the only recorded combat use of the CBU-55 in Vietnam. After the war, improved variants were developed, including the CBU-72. These later saw use in Operation Desert Storm against Iraqi forces in the 1990s. Attempts at international bans followed. In 1980, Mexico, Switzerland, and Sweden sought to outlaw thermobaric weapons at the United Nations. Their proposal failed. Later efforts in the 2000s also stalled, as nations viewed these weapons as militarily indispensable despite their destructive effects. By the early 2000s, the United States had fielded the BLU-118B thermobaric bomb, designed specifically to penetrate caves and bunkers. It was deployed in Afghanistan against Al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters entrenched in mountain tunnel complexes. On March 2, 2002, during Operation Anaconda, an F-15E Strike Eagle dropped the first BLU-118B in combat. Guided by laser, it was aimed at a tunnel complex. The bomb detonated prematurely, above ground. While the strike did not achieve full effect, it demonstrated the operational use of thermobaric weapons in modern warfare. International law does not explicitly prohibit vacuum bombs. Protocols exist against indiscriminate incendiary weapons on civilians, but military use against enemy combatants remains legal. Debate continues, especially regarding suffocation as a method of killing. Against cartels, the U.S. has not yet used thermobaric weapons, but pressure is mounting. Prior operations demonstrate the escalation already underway. In 2012, Operation Martillo launched with 14 partner nations. Warships, aircraft, and specialized teams blocked maritime routes from South America to the U.S. Within its first year, Martillo seized 119 tons of cocaine worth $2.3 billion, along with $37 million in cash and equipment. Later, Operation Orion brought in 62 countries, achieving record seizures, 225 tons of cocaine and over 1,000 tons of marijuana, valued at $8.3 billion. The effort combined advanced detection technology, international intelligence sharing, and direct interdiction. The U.S. Coast Guard's HITRON squadron played a central role. Flying MH-65 Dolphin helicopters armed with sniper rifles, they disabled cartel go-fast boats by shooting out engines mid-chase. Smugglers adapted by disguising boats or using hidden compartments. Still, task forces like GIATF South, a fusion center combining Navy, Coast Guard, FBI, CIA, and Customs, stayed ahead by mapping routes and intercepting in real time. These operations inflicted billions in losses on the cartels. The Coast Guard cutter James, for example, seized 48,000 pounds of narcotics in a single 4-month deployment in 2022, worth over $500 million. Its drones and helicopters tracked vessels. Its boarding teams apprehended crews, and its intelligence contributions disrupted major routes used by cartels like Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation. As of this year, the U.S. has gone further, deploying Navy destroyers such as the USS Gravely to reinforce interdiction near the Gulf of Mexico. And with B-2 bombers on standby, the campaign is entering uncharted territory. The B-2 Spirit remains one of the most advanced stealth bombers in existence. With a range of over 6,000 nautical miles, the ability to fly undetected by conventional radar, and the capacity to carry thermobaric weapons, it represents the ultimate tool for dismantling hardened cartel infrastructure. Soviet-era radars, Iranian systems, or anything the cartels could conceivably acquire cannot detect it. When it strikes, there will be no warning. Cartels have thrived on concealment. Jungles, tunnels, underground labs. With thermobaric bombs, none of those locations are safe. The weapon not only destroys physical structures, but removes oxygen itself, ensuring anyone inside cannot survive. If deployed, this would mark the most decisive escalation in the U.S. campaign against the cartels since the beginning of the drug war. It would also signal that the U.S. considers cartel operations not just a law enforcement problem, but a matter of national security requiring military force. The combination of stealth bombers and vacuum bombs is the strongest non-nuclear option available. It sends one clear signal: sanctuary no longer exists for the cartels. Their labs, their compounds, their networks, all are now targets. And with that, the war on drugs is entering a phase unlike anything seen before.